Wow, I wouldn't be able to do anything without faith. I think my big first challenge in life was when I graduated from Concordia Teachers College, which is now called university. But I was sent out to Patchogue, Long Island when I graduated. I was so ignorant of my geography. I didn't know there was a Long Island. And then I couldn't even pronounce the name of the place where I was going. And then I looked at my paper of what I was going to be doing, and it said, well, this church is 60 years old and they would like to have a school, and so you will be the only teacher. And we will start with kindergarten and first grade. And I thought, what? I've had no training whatsoever in starting a Lutheran school. I only had 6th, 7th, and 8th grade as a student in a Lutheran school, and I could not sleep for 3 nights. It was just like, how did I get this assignment? And after the 3rd night, it was almost like God's voice was as loud as could be. You're not going alone. Oh, yeah. I'm not going alone.
There was trouble in our land, but God was with us at all times. I can honestly say God just brought me through everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say anything but God's guidance in my life, my whole life.
Whenever she threw out that word endure to me, first thing I do is go and look in the dictionary and see what the dictionary says. And it says to bear and to suffer. Well, something happened to me some time back that I was traumatized. And it affected my whole body. And I started, my body just, everything went wrong. I never knew how old I was because I never felt any older. But I finally knew how old I was because my body was, everything was going wrong and I couldn't go on. But a very wise person I was blessed to be in contact with. And he said, he led me to the scriptures in Hebrew 12:2 and 3. And that scripture is, let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross. There's the word, endured. Endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. And that's what I needed to hear, and that's what I needed to apply to my situation. Because if ever I could have lost my faith, it was at that time. But that's when I needed it the most. And when I look at what Christ did for me, how he suffered, and he did that, he endured the pain of the cross, the shame of the cross, giving me his righteousness. And I can't love him enough for doing that. I'm so thankful. It's his word that helps me not to lose heart, remembering what he endured. Endure means to bear and to suffer and he did it. And that's what I hold on to.
I think I've already said it, but always know that Jesus is with you, always, no matter what you go through. And maybe there are times when you feel discouraged, but he's still there. And if you just reach out to him, he will certainly lift you up. And never give up God's word. Always go to his word for your strength and your encouragement.
When I think of the season of life that we are in right now, endure is a great word. I think endure for me doesn't necessarily mean all of that like power and struggle. It literally means like I have to endure another mess. I have to endure. I have to make it through. And there's hope in that, but it is challenging with young children. You are doing the same thing every day, multiple times a day, saying the same words, having the same discussions, hoping to form them, and that takes time and that takes endurance. And what gives me hope in that is Anna Green Gables has a line that's like, tomorrow is fresh with no mistakes in it. And as a mom, or as a human, I should say, but as a mom in particular, I make so many mistakes during the day. And it is very easy to beat myself up about that and to endure that, you know, like, oh, there, I did it again. Like, I said today, I woke up today, I'm not going to yell at my kids, I'm not going to lose my temper, and 5 minutes in, here we are.
Yeah.
Right? And so having that hope of tomorrow is new, there's no mistakes in it, and God's already forgiven all of this is so helpful in this endurance race. It gives me the willingness to keep doing it because it is important and it does matter.
Like, I don't know, I think it's the new start every morning, and for me, I need something concrete. And so this past year was like the most difficult personally and professionally for me. Finally at 32, like I sort of feel like I'm figuring out what I need as a person to endure. And what I need to endure is not necessarily what somebody else tells me that I need to endure. And so I made a change this year where I got up at a really unfortunate hour of every morning, but I started every single morning all school year doing a devotion. Even in the middle of musical season when I was getting home really late, like my brain and my mom would say, sleep, like you need to sleep an extra hour, that sleep is going to be better for you. And I figured out pretty quickly that what I needed was to start my day in the Word. And on the days that I didn't, like it just totally, when I started the day in the Word, my mind was in the Word all day. And so then my reliance was constantly upon God for what I needed to endure through the hard season, the hard days. And there's a line in the musical Les Mis that says, even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise. And so that was like, my day was really hard, I go to sleep, but then the sun rose in the morning and I started my day in the Word.
I feel like I've reached an age or amount of experiences, I guess, that I can look back and I can see, maybe not in every trial or difficulty that I've been through, but in a lot of them, either I can see that God was steering me away from something bad that would not have been good for me, or He was trying to strengthen me in something or teach me something, and I can look back and see a lot of growth after those periods of hard times. And I think that really helps me, excuse me, now be able to, even in the middle of a hard period, say, okay, maybe God is trying to teach me something, and keep the focus there rather than just saying, poor me, why is this happening to me? Easy to. And like even now going through difficulties in raising kids and tough personalities, I can kind of look back and say, okay, well, just because I've been through these hard things in the past, these things were hard going through them, doesn't mean that they weren't also good. That they didn't bring good. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You know, I've had my faith tested a lot over the years, and I was lucky also to grow up, I grew up Catholic, and when we came into St. Luke, and it was like coming home. We came in, and I will never forget, my son was in a car seat, and, the little carrier, and my daughter was probably, 5. And, the family in front of us, I'll never forget, was the Teeleys. And they were so welcoming, and the church was, they turned around and they spoke to us, and we had gone, church shopping for so long, and finally when we came to St. Luke's and we were home, it was nice because St. Luke taught us. Like, they taught us how to pray, and they taught us how to do things. I felt at home, and, it's funny because without St. Luke, I don't know that I would have been able to endure all those faith challenges that I have over the years with any other church that we had, tried out. So I really give a lot of credit to everybody, and it's not just the pastors, it's the Sunday school teachers, it's the congregation, it's everything, everybody,
I think when you grow up in the church, I'm fortunate I grew up in a Christian home. All kinds of great role models, but it wasn't easy, My father was ill and mental health problems. My grandmother, who lived next door, was paralyzed. But, oh my gosh, the joy she had in her heart. And I think when you're younger, I'm older now, I think when you're younger, faith is not something you really understand. You just know, you're learning. Then you get out into the world and you have problems. And you really need to test your faith. And I can think of examples where we were a young family, raising kids, trying to build our house ourselves. We're not talking just finishing it, we're talking in building it one log at a time. And, my husband got sick, he got Lyme's disease, and, I was just beside myself. What are we going to do? And, God, you're not listening to me, you don't hear my prayer. And I'm sitting on a dirt pile out in my yard. You dirt piles everywhere. There were dirt piles there for years. Oh, please. And it was early morning, the sun wasn't even up yet. And I said, Lord, can you just help me make it through this day? And I had the most peaceful feeling come over me. I've never forgotten that in my entire life. So God does listen to us. He does want to be part of our lives. He does want to walk with us every step of the way. Enduring isn't easy. I mean, you're going to have challenges, you're going to have problems, you're going to have health issues. God does listen to you. He wants to.
I always try to do a devotional from the Bible app each day, and it kind of gives me motivation because it'll say you're behind, you're on track, oh, you're ahead, and that kind of keeps me motivated to oh, I want to make sure I'm on track at least, and I don't want to get behind. So I always try to read a devotion a day. I also always try to spend some time in the Word, even if it's just rereading. I love Psalm 34, so even if it's just rereading that I've read hundreds of times before, it's still a reminder. And sometimes, depending on my different situation of life at the moment, I realize oh wow, that verse really jumps out at me, I really relate to that. And so making sure that I am being rooted in the Word and having my cup filled before I try to pour into others. Sometimes it's easier for me to go back and reread things that I've already read or taken notes on, how Kellie was saying Psalm 34 for her. For me it's Psalm 23. I always go back and just if I need something, whether and also I would say just leaning on to others as well to help me get through things, leaning on to my Christly friends, and leaning on to people that I know love and care about me.
What do? You've hit a brick wall, you just can't find it in yourself. What do you do that maybe some of the others out here would benefit to get themselves picked up?
Honestly, sometimes I just need to cry. That's so real. If I can handle things to a certain extent just by either praying about it or just being like, Lord, like this is really making me upset. Or Lord, I'm being really frustrated about this person or whatever the situation is. But then it's like, I just had a day 2 nights ago where it was just like one thing after another piling on top of it. And I'm just like, I just had to cry. And then I felt so much better. And break down, I'll put worship music on. Sometimes I just need a good cry in a shower, so I'm like, that way I'm not getting, my clothes soaked as well. But it's like just having that intentional time, just praying, like while I'm in the shower, just being like, Lord, like this is really upsetting me, and just like being able to have those feelings like with the Lord, and like knowing that He's there in that moment.
Or even like going on like walks. Like I've always found for me that like nature and being outside has always helped to like center myself, but like kind of like bring me back a little bit, and also crying. I sometimes a good cry. Sometimes a good cry is needed too, honestly, and even it is cleansing.
I definitely think like being a teenager in this day and age and just going through the media and always trying to compare yourself to others, I always think like you just gotta take a step back and being like comparison is the thief of all joy, and just knowing God made me who I am. He like knitted me in my mother's womb and just made me how He wanted me to, and just trying to show His love to other people, and knowing that even if you're struggling through your mental health or what's going on in the world right now, just knowing that there's somebody and there's God that loves you so much, and you could do anything and He would still love you. And that just helps me endure my faith during the hard times.